Good morning! Good morning! Welcome to my channel where I make lifestyle videos about books, beauty, and sustainability. Today I'm doing my summer TBR, or the books I've taken out from the library. So these are the books I'm planning on reading throughout the month of July and August. I've at least started most of these books, so I'll be able to give you my initial thoughts on them. I'm not sure if I'll necessarily finish all of these books, but I will be doing a reading wrap-up at the end of the month, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado, let's dive into the books. This first one is Red Clocks by Leni Zumas. I picked this one up because it was recommended to people who like The Handmaid's Tale. It's a dystopian novel centered around reproductive rights, and it's told from the perspective of 5 different women. It's set in the United States where abortion is illegal. I'm only about 30 pages in, but I can already see how the different characters' storylines are sort of intertwined. It's much darker in tone than I expected, and I'm not totally sure if this is what I'm in the mood for at the moment, but I've had it in my possession for so long that I feel like at this point I just need to crack on with it. This next one is Sabriel by Garth Nix. This is the first in the Abhorsen or Old Kingdom series. It's a high fantasy novel that reminds me a bit of Game of Thrones, but that might be because Game of Thrones is sort of my only point of reference when it comes to high fantasy series, so don't quote me on that. It's set in a world which is divided into 2 parts separated by a wall. So there's the Old Kingdom, which is sort of full of magic, and then there's Ancelstier, which has no magic. Sabriel is attending a boarding school in Ancelstier when her father goes missing, and she decides to travel to the Old Kingdom to find him. Sabriel and her father both possess magical powers related to death, so they're described as sort of the opposite of a necromancer in that instead of raising the dead, they help put them to rest. So far I'm about 60 pages in, and I'm struck by how Sabriel is both really knowledgeable about the world and yet also very naive to it, so it's kind of a weird position for the reader because she knows a lot already, but we're also learning lots with her. So it's a bit of a strange contradiction. This book is quite dense and focuses a lot on the world building, which is not typically my style of book, if I'm being honest, so I'm not sure how far I'll get with this one. Next we have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. It's set in 4 alternate dimensions of London, which are identified by color. So we have white, red, black, and gray London. And our main character, Kel, is able to travel between these Londons, and he sort of acts as a messenger or an ambassador for the leaders of these different Londons. He also does some sort of under-the-table trading or sales, and I believe this is where the main conflict of the book stems from. It's a unique concept, and I've heard high praise for V.E. Schwab and this series in particular, so I have high expectations for it. Next we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This book gets compared a lot to The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern because they have similar settings. This book follows Scarlett, who has spent her entire life wanting to attend Caraval, which is a traveling circus that is rumored to be magic. She's grown up in an oppressive household with an abusive father on a remote island that she isn't allowed to leave. And when the circus ringmaster goes to jail and the circus closes, Scarlett thinks that her chance to see Caraval is gone forever. Until a few years later, she receives a letter from the ringmaster inviting her to see Caraval at a neighboring island. Scarlett is also part of an arranged marriage with a man that she's never met, and I'm very curious to see where that plotline goes. Next we have Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This is the sequel to Scythe and the second book in the arc of a Scythe series. It's set in a utopia where technological advancements have solved most of the world's problems, including corruption, poverty, hunger, and even death. So in order to curb population growth, scythes are given a quota of people to glean or kill each year. I really enjoyed the first book in this series, and considering it was 400 pages, I got through it relatively quickly. I will say that I found that some of the conflicts did resolve a little bit too easily, so we'll see if that pattern continues with this one. There's a new character that's introduced in this book, Grayson, and I'm really curious to see where his plotline goes. I really enjoy how these books sort of explore the implications of endless time and resources on the meaning of life. Next we have All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I honestly picked this one up because I wanted to watch the film adaptation on Netflix. I expected to really like it because I've been on a contemporary romance kick recently, but I'm not enjoying the main characters or the tropes in it so far. I can't tell if I'm just not the target age demographic for this one or if it just hasn't aged well. I'm willing to hold out a little longer, but if it doesn't get better, I might end up DNFing it. Lastly, we have Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Rainbow Rowell books had quite a moment a few years ago, but I'm only getting around to them now. I know nothing about this book, and I'd like to keep it that way, so I won't say any more. And that is my summer reading list, or at least all the books I've taken out from the library so far. Please let me know if you've read any of them and what your thoughts are, if I should prioritize some over others, and also please let me know what you'll be reading this summer. Until next time, bye!